I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't
God.
that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
He deserved that bat. What an incredible job he's done.
What a shot. Take it all in.
There you have it. The Seattle Seahawks, Super Bowl champions, 29-13 over the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 60. 6-0. Man, just every time I say that, I feel like it's a lot of Super Bowls. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, NBC on the call. Welcome into Inside Wisconsin Sports. I'm Josh Albrecht. Our boy Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor Thomas today. Hi, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
So first and foremost, disclaimer. My voice is going.
You sound like Batman.
Will it make it through the show? Place your bets. Place your bets. We will see. Was it because I was screaming during the Super Bowl? No, it was not. It was just because, I don't know, things are going around. Whatever's going around, I know there's probably something in the building. We're going to make it through. I got to tell you, Tommy, that Super Bowl was a close one of how much I was going to be able to see. So this weekend, I got to go on a vacation with my wife.
Nice.
Not my family, just my wife.
Sick.
It was the first time in 2 years that Julie and I said, we're no kids. We're not going to, no wipes. We're not going to hand out wipes to anyone or anything. We're not going to change diapers. We're going to just go be adults for 72 hours. And it was glorious.
Mm-hmm.
It was so amazing.
Yeah.
Like the entire time we were just like, we should do this more.
Yeah.
I was like,
right.
We probably should. But that being said, we were flying back and we were at Disney, of course. That's the only place we go. And it was still amazing. A lot of people, you went to Disney without your kids. It was incredible. I don't understand. I'm like, anyone that says you can't go to Disney as an adult without children doesn't understand how awesome it is to just be able to drink a ton and do everything that you can't do when you go somewhere with your kids and not have to worry about children. It's incredible. So anyway, we had a great time. But on the way home, we were flying home on Sunday. And I was worried I was going to miss at least half the Super Bowl.
Sure.
Right? And we ended up landing a half hour early to where, as soon as I could, right? Airplane mode off, boom, game on. Saw like right before the coin toss. I was like, let's go. We got in early. We couldn't even dock. There wasn't like a gate for us to get in yet. I was like, that's fine. Clearly the pilot was also like, we can make it. We can make it to the start of the Super Bowl. Let's go. So it was great. I got to see the whole game, even though the majority of it was on my phone. Didn't matter. What did you end up doing for the game?
I watched it at home. Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I made a steak yesterday. Sat down, watched the game. Me and my roommate put on the big TV, hung out. It was awesome. And we have, nice little setup over there. It was never any stressful, like, am I or won't I be able to see this? Because I went to the grocery store and then I took maybe 40 steps the rest of the day.
Oh, yeah, that's a good day.
It was awesome.
Do you wear a watch, like a fitness watch?
No. Oh my God.
Those are my favorite. I do. And I have an Apple Watch, and those are my favorite days when like it has a little message that comes up that's like, you can still do it. And it's like,
you're only 9,462 steps away from your goal.
Wait a minute. I haven't even thought about how many steps I've taken today. And then you look, it's like 400. You're like, Oh,
Yeah.
no. Today,
no, it's over.
we might as well have left the
Mail it
watch
in.
on the charger today. There's nothing but disappointment coming. That's awesome. I think that, and I remember talking with Trevor about this before I left on Thursday's show of just, if your team's not in it, what's really happening with the Super Bowl? Like, are you still having a big party? I know a lot of people like to just even watch past Packers Super Bowls. They'll just throw in the DVD from 2010 or
That's weird.
something. Oh, dude, people do it. They're
Yeah,
like, no, I'm not going
okay.
to watch teams I don't care about. But it's a celebration of the last time the Packers were there. We want to hear from you this morning on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line 414-677-1250. But for now, as we usually do, it's time to play catch up.
Packers.
Nothing from 1265 over the weekend, which was great. Honestly, I was kind of like, I don't know what more positive news could be happening. So I was like, just don't tell me like more people are leaving, right? Because that was essentially it. At this point, I kind of just want, 1265 to take a rest.
Well, and even the past week, like some of the silence was deafening from 1265 because everyone who you thought maybe could have been on the chopping block, Rich Bisaccia, looking at you here, like everyone's coming back. It sounds like we talked about it a little bit on Friday with Trevor and myself. Noah Pauley, new wide receivers coach. He was Christian Watson's wide receiver coach back in. But as far as Super Bowl weekend, Green Bay, it would have been a prime news dump day for the Packers to during the Super Bowl, drop some sort of bombshell so that no one would talk about it. But they didn't have really much news to report on in Green Bay.
Yeah, which, as I said, I was absolutely fine with. And because all the focus was on the Super Bowl, as it should have been. And we will give our thoughts. We want your thoughts as well. We also do have some questions about the Super Bowl. A few things, I saw some of the Wisconsin's biggest athletes were in attendance. Jordan Love was there. Giannis was there. Saw a few things there. So it was cool to still see, our guys in attendance there. But we will have a few questions for you, and I have questions in regards to the Super Bowl. And, of course, we'll want your questions as well coming up at 6:20. But with that, we go to Brewers.
Brewers.
MLB Network has been doing these top 10 rankings.
Yeah.
Across every position, everything. I know we talked about Bryce Terang because they had him like
10th
or something
crazy.
crazy.
Garbage.
And then they had Contreras. And I thought they had Contreras pretty high up when they were doing catchers, which was cool.
Yeah.
And then they came in and they were talking about coaches and managers. Here's what that sounded like.
Oh, I'm playing it?
Yeah, you're
Jeez.
playing that
Okay, well, I don't have it ready here in
okay.
front of me. I thought you were playing all these sounds now. Okay, well, hello from under the bus. Anyway, regardless, MLB Network on Pat Murphy and his placement on top manager in Major League Baseball.
So here's my list.
Where is he? Oh my God.
He's down. Well, come on. Oh my God. I have him at number 6. That's not an insult. 6 best. All right. Number 1 is Pat Murphy. Back-to-back years. I mean, it's pretty incredible what he's been able to do. And Craig Counsell was able to set that whole, thing in motion. He was the bench coach, but Murphy has done a fabulous job last 2 years. Best record in the game last year. Also, he holds his players accountable. It's very public facing, like what he does with his team, and he makes the most of it.
All right, I got the rest of them too.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
Don't worry. But yes, Pat Murphy on the recent MLB poll, number 1 manager in all of baseball. Feels like that is a non-negotiable, Josh.
Yeah, it should be that way.
Manager of the year 2 years in a row.
What
right?
else? What else could you want? It had me thinking though, like, are we worried at all about him going somewhere else? Like, I don't feel like that's really a Murph thing. But when was the last time we had, especially in regards to the Brewers, the best of the best twice, and didn't have to worry about where they were going next?
Didn't it kind of feel the same way with Counsell, where it's like, why would he leave? He's at his hometown, and he was gonna leave at the end.
Counsell never won.
Yeah,
right. Counsell never won manager of the year. There were plenty of years where we said he should have.
Absolutely, he finished second, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah.
And then immediately, first year, Pat Murphy wins, and then he wins again after Counsell exits to Chicago. So I thought that was interesting. And just thinking about, like, man, thank God for Murph. Anytime we bring up Pat Murphy, it's like a exhale of, well, regardless of what's happening, we still have Pat Murphy. And I'm just, as long as we can say that, I will be a happy man.
I feel like with the Ricky Weeks move to the front office this offseason, it gives a little bit of security to Pat Murphy in the clubhouse for the foreseeable future. You would think that when Ricky Weeks got brought in, it very much felt like they were grooming him to be the next manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. But then Pat Murphy did such a damn good job his first 2 years that they said, he's in for the long haul. They want to make something work out with Pat Murphy, maybe for a long-term deal. I know he's a little bit older, but Pat Murphy, I mean, it's safe to say he's the best coach in the state, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Right? It's not even really remotely close.
I mean, he's back-to-back best in his league.
Right. And then, including whoever you want to, wherever you want to in the college ranks or something too. Like Pat Murphy, that's a guy that you're going to have to wonder if he's going to be on a trajectory of like all-timer in Brewers status. I mean, with 2 manager of the years, I guess maybe he's already there, but he's got a ways to go to catch up to Council and win totals. And if he's able to put him over the hump and get him into a World Series, not even have to win it, but get to the World Series, he's going to be like, he's sniffing statue. He's going to sniff statue at that point.
I don't disagree.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if he gets there. Yeah. Statue worthy.
If they get to the World Series, he's sniffing statue.
All right. We move on to the Badgers.
Badgers.
So the Badgers lose to Indiana in overtime on Saturday, 78-77. And I think this is the first time that I can remember in recent memory of the Badgers or just college basketball being screwed because of a call from a ref, and then having it be to where, like, you go to social media and no one is telling Badger fans to calm down. Like, everyone's like, yeah, that was an atrocious call. Like, you guys are right to be mad. And I went, but it doesn't change anything.
Right.
Right. And so that kind of sucked. This is Greg Gard commenting on the refs after Indiana.
I haven't seen the second one, but the one there at the end, I've never seen anything like that. I don't know. I mean, they're trying to foul. They actually fouled us 3 times coming up the floor, and they called on offensively. We were driving away from the basket. And I don't know. I don't understand that call. So I'll get more clarification. I've never seen that type of call he made before, so I guess there's a first for everything.
Did you feel like that was consistent with how the game was officiated for the other 40-some minutes?
No. It's a hard game to ref, but that wasn't a hard call.
I mean, I actually thought that Greg Gard handled that pretty well.
I also think that the alternate angle is not a great look to be like, it was a terrible call.
Oh, really?
There is clear foot going on calf action with John Blackwell there, where, again, I know the optics look terrible of him like tripping, stumbling, falling back into John Blackwell. Their feet do get tangled up, and I get why an official might call it in that moment there, because it wasn't a travel, because John Blackwell's leg or his foot hits the calf of the Indiana player, and that's why they call the foul on it. Now, have refs called that before? I think so, but he did make contact with him before he fell.
You're the first person I've talked to or seen that hasn't just said that was a bad call.
It was a tough call. It's a tough call to make in the moment. I get it. And the Badgers lose because of the officials. And it's tough to win in the Big Ten when you have to play up against the competition like the Big Ten is and up against the referees at the same time. I get it. But there's so many other moments in the game where you can go back to Nolan Winter balls out again. That guy, they will take that Nolan Winter game anytime they can get it. Like,
sure.
Go ahead, get him 26-12. Like, Badgers are going to win those games more often than not. If they're getting 26-12 out of him in tournament games, they're going to win those games.
All right, move on to the Bucks.
Bucks.
Usually one of our shorter segments here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. A lot of Bucks stuff today. And I got to start by saying I'm confused. Tommy, I'm confused at what we're doing as the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, well, let me try to help you out real quick.
Thomas, long three-pointer. Puts it in! Cam Thomas from way downtown! Oh, what a shot from the rookie! And Brooklyn goes up by 6 with 6.8 remaining.
Well, I mean, that should help, right? That sounds cool.
Yeah. So the Bucks added Cam Thomas, free agent, formerly of the Nets. But they added him for like the future, right? That was the whole, because we're playing for the future. We're tanking, right? Wasn't that the whole thing? Trade deadline. We're just trying to lose so that we get a good draft pick to build around Giannis, so that we keep Giannis.
Not exactly the contract situation.
So this is part of what guys are looking for when they are signing buyout market deals. They want to sign with a team that, number one, gives them minutes. That's the most important thing, because they have to be able to prove what they deserve on their next contract. So buyout market players are looking for minutes. They ideally would like a chance to win, and particularly if they're veteran players. Now, that Cam Thomas is just 24, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But also, number three, that there's a path potentially to a long-term role with the team. And when we look at the finances of the Bucks, it may not be for the dollar amount that Cam Thomas wants. And who knows what type of turnover there is should Giannis be traded. That could significantly change their financial outlook. But even if Giannis is not traded, there is a path to, at the very least, mid-level exception money. So if things work out great with the Bucks from here on out, there is a way for Cam Thomas to ultimately stay there. And that final piece, Donnie, I'm sure was an important one in Cam Thomas's decision on where to sign.
So he's here for now and looks good for the long term, I guess, Josh.
But he's here for now. This is why I'm confused. And we're going to have Ty Windish of the Euro Step podcast joining us at 8 a.m. to clear up some things, because especially if this isn't looking to the future and just for now, what was the mindset of tanking? Was that, what did that last? A week?
Yeah,
and now we're not tanking anymore? I'm just so confused. And because I literally said, all right, as long as the Bucks don't end up like middle of the pack and they get into the playoffs in like the play-in game, and then maybe even they win the play-in game, and then they lose their first series and it's done, and now they don't get a top 5 pick. Like, that seems like worst case scenario to me, and this seems like that's exactly the path they're going down. Bucks have won 3 in a row when they're supposed to be tanking. They're signing free agents when they're supposed to be tanking. I'm so confused. So I'm very excited to talk to Ty about that and just get some answers.
But Josh, what's the number one priority for you as a Bucks fan when it revolves around the Milwaukee Bucks?
Right, to keep Giannis.
And that this is a move to do that.
Okay,
an attempt to do that.
As long as that's true. As long as like there's more conversations happening behind closed doors of this being what Giannis needs to extend.
Also, I will say that who's to say that signing Cam Thomas isn't an effort to continue to tank, Josh? Because the Nets this season, in their first 7 games, with Cam Thomas on the court, they were 30th, last in defensive rating. The next 21 games without Cam Thomas, they were 6th in the NBA in defensive rating. Then, since Cam Thomas returned over the last 20 games, they're back down to 29th. So maybe Cam Thomas is just helping the Bucks tank.
I mean, it's still a weird move to me.
It's a weird move.
And it definitely seems like just the vibes of the team have changed since the trade deadline.
Yeah.
It's like Giannis comes out, he posts that video, which was incredible.
He's a Kelce ambassador
owner now. That was a thing.
That
I mean, I'm just saying, like, all of these things happen, and then the Bucks, now they're winning. Now they're signing guys, and I'm all question marks on how to feel here.
Would you be upset if the Bucks snuck their way in and won a playoff series? They get out of the first round. And then you're like, whoa, we were supposed to tank this year.
I mean, still kind of, yeah. I feel like no matter what, if the Bucks are going to be a legitimate contender, they need a gap year. They need something. They need to get a pick. And all I've heard is that the top 5 picks in this draft are going to be money.
Yeah,
like this is a huge draft. So what an opportunity that the Bucks are in right now.
It would also
to
just
build something around Giannis, or for the future if Giannis doesn't sign the Supermax, and they're like, Yeah, let's just be middle of the pack and miss out on everything. Huh?
Well,
What
I
do you
mean,
think?
it's kind of on par with this season where it's like the Bucks can do no right. So even when things are going well, it's what they're not supposed to be doing at the moment, and that's what the Bucks have been all 25-26 so far. It's just been every move they make has been a blunder, and even when things look like at face value they might be positive, it could turn into a blunder. I actually like the Cam Thomas move. The Bucks get younger. They've wanted to get a little bit younger. He's 24. He averages 20 points a night. It's another guy who can create his own shot. They've wanted him for years on this Bucks team.
Yeah, apparently that was what reports said. Listen, I'm all about that. If it was all right, we're gonna have this guy for 4 years, build it around Giannis. Cool.
If the move was influenced by the Greek Freak, it doesn't even matter. And if he gets the contract October 1st, we'll look back at this move as like, okay, cool. Thanks for your service, Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Not really. We can go through the rest of the college teams here in Wisconsin. Marquette beat Butler on Saturday, 70-55. They can still win basketball games, apparently. UW-Milwaukee lost to Northern Kentucky, 67-62. And UWGB won over Detroit Mercy, 76-63.
Dougie Fresh got those guys running out there, man.
There you
right?
go. All right, when we come back, it's I Have Questions. We want to know your questions, what you have for us to answer. It can be Super Bowl related or other. Already seeing some good stuff coming in on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. Get your questions in there, 414-677-1250. We have some questions of our own. Tommy, especially with a good one. You won't want to miss that. Coming up next on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Josh Albrecht and Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor Thomas today. And we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Josh Albrecht here. Tommy Wirtz filling in for Trevor. He's out today, probably because he's celebrating the Super Bowl. He's one of those people that had 150 people over at his house for the Super Bowl, even though the Packers weren't doing anything in it. We are happy that all of you are here with us. We are about to answer some questions, ask some questions. We appreciate all of the feedback already coming in this morning on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. Get your questions in now, there, 414-677-1250, because, Tommy, it is time for I Have Questions.
When things just don't add up, Trevor and Josh ask the hard questions or just point out how messed up stuff is.
I only have one question.
Can you fly this plane and land it?
Surely you can't be serious.
Do you view this season as a failure?
You asked me the same question last year.
What's the most important question the Badgers have to answer Saturday?
This is a great question. Oh, my God, this is a great question.
It's time for I Have Questions on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. That's where you get your questions in. That is where the 715 and the 920 here both asked you, Tommy, why do you think that the Brewers moved on from Weeks? Do you think they didn't get along? I think that's a pretty easy answer. It was kind of the same as why the Packers couldn't move on from Aaron Rodgers. I think the plan was originally to have Ricky Weeks be groomed in to the next manager of the Brewers. And then Pat Murphy completely changed the culture, won 2 Manager of the Year awards, and they went, hey, Ricky, we're going to ask you to take a position up here in the front office. It looks like our managerial role is pretty secure for the time being.
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily disqualifies him from being a manager in the future either. I don't think anyone was really in love with what his bench coach duties were and asking for Ricky Weeks, because things have been really awesome the last 2 years with Pat Murphy. But I actually do like the Aaron Rodgers comparison, where it's like, oh, well, he just won 2 MVPs in a row. So what are we going to do? We got to run it back again with him at some point. So yeah, it's a good comparison. Ricky Weeks, I think they just wanted to. I don't know if Ricky Weeks had anything to deal with what he did anything wrong. I don't even know if he did, because I think Pat Murphy just did everything right. Yeah. So why not reward the man?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think they couldn't. I think they couldn't move on from him. That's all part of it. You can't imagine the optics of that. You can't do that. If the Brewers were going to say goodbye to Pat Murphy, it was going to be Pat Murphy's decision.
Right.
Not the Brewers.
And so they just gave him a vote of confidence by getting rid of that position, right? There is no assistant manager, coach, bench, whatever the title was or that he had that they made up. But now Ricky Weeks still gets a job. Pat Murphy gets a little more security.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's going to end up to where Ricky Weeks maybe he's in that position at some point in time. But I don't think it's going to be any time soon.
Counsell went from the front office to the manager, right? So I don't think it disqualifies him by any means.
920 asks, why is the ball not in Nolan Winter's hands more at the end of the game? That's JB in the 920.
Yeah, finally, JB screaming at the world, not us.
Yeah,
Like I said, Nolan Winter, I think, is actually the difference maker on this team. I know Blackwell and Boyd are studs, and everyone wants to see them, and they're going to put up the numbers. But Nolan Winter is the big right now, and especially in college basketball, big men play. Big men like Zach Edey. You're thinking of all the great Michigan bigs from last year too. You need a big man, and Nolan Winter, if he's going to have days like that, again, more often than not, I think it's going to go out in the Badgers' favor, and they just got to realize that. Yeah.
Annie in Oconomowoc says, Josh, I was so sad you weren't there Friday to celebrate Giannis staying. Listen, I honestly, Annie, I would have loved to have celebrated with all of you. I also know that I would have wanted to celebrate for 3 hours long, and there was no way that was going to happen on the show. So it's probably for the best, but I appreciate that because I was freaking out. I was so happy. She goes on to say, remember when I asked why aren't people coming to play with Giannis? Yes, you did ask that. That was something, especially then he comes out with his Wolf of Wall Street video, and he says, legends don't chase, they attract. And then you have Cam Thomas come in. Cam Thomas isn't a big enough name to move the needle for me in terms of, people wanting to come play with Giannis. But I do expect there to be someone coming to the Bucks to play with Giannis if Giannis stays. I feel like the reason why there hasn't been a lot of those moves as of late is because there's been a lot of uncertainty of, is Giannis going to stay?
I also feel that that's not necessarily fair. They did go out and get Drew Holiday, and they did go out and get Damian Lillard, and then they did make something up to get Miles Turner. Now maybe the star progression has been going down for sure. Now we're on to Cam Thomas trying to fit that narrative, but I think that the Bucks are just gearing up a little bit here too. I am surprised they didn't move on from the rest of the roster.
Yeah, everyone else staying put.
Yeah,
that's why I thought tank. That's why I thought, well, it's because they're trying to tank, and then they're going to cut the fat and move on in the offseason.
You're not Usman Jang doesn't do it for you?
No,
he's not like a
no.
You thought maybe that's attracting?
Nope.
That's the legends attracting.
No, I didn't think that move was. I think too
11th overall pick a couple years ago.
Hey, how about that? I think the big thing too that I think about with what Annie's saying though is, like, you talk about all those guys, but besides Miles Turner and now Cam Thomas, they were trades, right? The Bucks had to facilitate that. It wasn't like Giannis was saying, hey, like, make a deal with the Bucks, come here, play with me, like those other two were. So that's the difference. We'll see what happens there. All right. Hey, the Super Bowl happened yesterday, in case you were unaware. The Seahawks won 29-13. Spoiler alert if you slept through it. And you had a good question here, Tommy. What was your question today? And I have questions.
Yeah, I think I had this question ready to go before the Super Bowl, and then during the Super Bowl, I think I have a different tone to the question. But watching that game, would you rather have either of those quarterbacks over Jordan Love?
No.
I don't think so, right? Like, Jordan Love easily played better quarterback than both of those guys throughout the postseason. Now, no shade at all to Sam Darnold, who needs to be considered probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL now, and that might
Which is crazy. That's still crazy to me.
And that's just based on results. I still don't know if I necessarily believe that when I say it, because I still think talent-wise, I would rather have Jordan Love over Sam Darnold. But I mean, the facts are the guy has won. He's like 31-7 over his last 38 games. And quarterbacks that's what they're judged on, winning, right? Sam Darnold led the NFL in turnovers with 20 in the regular season. And then he did not commit a single turnover in the postseason. The Seahawks rather, did not commit a single turnover all postseason. Like, that is insane. So watching that game, and then Drake May on the other side in the postseason, 57% completion percentage, 6 touchdowns, 8 turnovers, 21 sacks, as that is now a new NFL record for most sacks in a postseason. Sacked 6 times. He had 3 turnovers in the game, 10 off-target passes. I don't know how they judge that, but it was brutal to watch the quarterback play at moments in the game. And Sam Darnold didn't do anything like too flashy.
He didn't lose the game.
He didn't lose the game.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. You can say that Drake May, obviously, he didn't have a good game. He didn't have time to have a good game.
Yeah, Will Campbell got.
I mean, he was constantly on his back. I think the big difference, if I still look at both of those quarterbacks and I say in 3 years, I'd rather have Drake May than Sam Darnold, because I think that Drake May will end up being a better. He's so young. He's so young still.
Dude, this Patriots team just got exposed for their schedule, man. I mean, they absolutely did. The first time they had to play a competent football team, they did not look competent.
Sure. I'm just saying, I still think that Drake May throughout the season showed enough ability. And I'm still not 100% bought in on Sam Darnold. Am I happy he won? Absolutely. Because as a Packers fan, it's a huge to Minnesota Vikings fans. But beyond that, this was all defense. Like, that Super Bowl was a defensive game on both sides of the ball. or for both teams. And so it was just proving you don't necessarily need to have the best quarterback to win the Super Bowl. And we're going to get into the Super Bowl and thoughts on a lot of things, and I appreciate all the texts coming in there as well. My last point that I had, and I have questions here, was, do you even care about the Super Bowl if your team's not playing?
Yeah, and I'm interested in your take on this because I have thoughts.
So the reason why I asked that is because I feel like it used to be to where I had to watch every second. I had to watch the commercials. I had to watch for everything that was happening because it was the Super Bowl. And I don't know if it's just for me getting older, it's falling off a little bit, but I didn't think the commercials were as good. I think they've been going down ever since the
social media
they
existed.
started posting them on social media. You didn't have to wait to see them. It didn't hold as much for me the same way. It's been that way for a couple years, I think. And so it's not that I don't think that it's still the best final championship game in all of sports, but I just felt like I was way more interested in watching or following the World Series this last year than I was about this Super Bowl. It was kind of just like, and talking to friends too, they were like, "Oh yeah, the Super Bowl's on today, isn't it?" And I was like, "Man, that's just a weird thought, a weird vibe."
Well, there's a couple of factors in your answer there. I'll break them down. So number one, the hype train behind the Super Bowl, I think, was very. I think our brains were biased in that this NBA trade deadline was Giannis.
Okay.
So I think that really took away a lot of our brain power into let's get excited for the Super Bowl because we are talking about one of the top 5, if not higher, athletes in this state's history possibly being moved on from.
Sure.
So I think that was something that definitely distracted us. Now, I also think that the national media leaned way too hard into a trade deadline that did absolutely nothing crazy.
Yeah, well, that's a given.
So that was foolish. And the NBA kind of gets their lick back on Christmas Day being taken over by the NFL, right?
Sure.
Where Christmas Day, NFL says we're going to have football games, and the NBA has, terrible ratings during that time. And now Super Bowl week, we're going to put the trade deadline because now that's the most exciting thing about the regular season, Josh, in the NBA anymore is who's getting traded. No one even cares about the games. No one cares about the performances. No one cares about who's going to win MVP. It's where's James Harden going this year? Every year now at this point. And then your other thought on that with oh man, now I lost it. But the Super Bowl, this is the last game of the year. Oh, championship game. That is a gift and a curse for the NFL, where you said you were more interested in following like the World Series, for instance, and you can let anticipation and the hype build within a series. Like that game, the World Series going to Game 7 is so beneficial for baseball because of the back and forth nature.
Yeah, but it wasn't always that
nature.
way. It's. I feel like forever it's the Super Bowl. It's a national holiday. People would say, like, everyone even people that don't care about sports still watch the Super Bowl. Like that was how it was forever. I just don't feel like it's that way anymore. I would never 5-10 years ago, I never would have made that comparison between the Super Bowl and the World Series.
Can you compare,
and leaned World Series?
Can you compare it to the NCAA basketball championship then? Because that's a one-off. And I don't think those are even in the same category.
Well, I think that the start of March Madness is better than the championship game.
Yeah, even more to the point of like it's a one-game elimination, and on top of that, the Super Bowl is the most popular sport, football, in America, and it's the last time we're going to watch any of it until September. And because I'm not counting August. I'm not counting it.
I'll tell you what I think it is. I think it is that this year we didn't have that name that everyone knew across the country. We didn't have that Patrick Mahomes, that Tom Brady, that whoever it was going to be that we're so used to seeing, that the casual fans that just want to hang out and party because it's the Super Bowl knew.
But this Super Bowl is the perfect casual fan. You don't have to know anything about anyone because No one knows anything about anyone. You don't have to be invested in any of these stories because no one really bought any of these or buys them for long term at any point, too. The game was boring, so even more so, you can talk about it from a casual perspective of, I just want to go to the parties and eat a bunch of dip and talk to my friends and watch a halftime show. Like, that was exactly the perfect setting for the casual fan because the game was over at 12-0. If it was even,
felt like it, yeah.
it was so over at that point. It felt like, and it was nailing the coffin at 19-0. Like, you had the biggest opportunity to be a casual fan yesterday.
And yet it seemed like the most exciting plays in the game didn't come until third quarter, end of the third quarter into the fourth. We're going to play one of them when we come back.
Unless you're a kicking fan.
For the most electrifying sound of the day, brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. I'm Josh Albrecht, and Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor Thomas today. We'll be right back with the most electrifying sound of the day.
It's time for
The most electrifying
sound of the day
The most electrifying
on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Brought to you by Best Electric. Learn more at bestelect.com. Don't stress. Connect with the best.
And they bring up pressure as well. And May get it back down as Witherspoon came under pressure. And Uchenna Nwosu is going the distance for a touchdown.
Same blitz, Mike, has killed him all night long.
And that defensive touchdown pick six, making it 29-7, calls courtesy of Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, NBC, is the most electrifying sound of the day. Brought to you by our friends at Best Electric. Remember, no job is too big or too small for Best Electric. Don't stress. Connect with the best. Call them today or visit bestelect.com. So by that point, the game was already completely out of reach. But I was like, all right, at least there's some electric, something of an electric call. You had a pick six. Because to that point, and you brought it up in the last segment, Tommy, I was sitting here going, man, I almost hope it's a shutout. I almost hope it's a shutout and we see a kicker win MVP and just give me something different through that first half.
If a kicker would have won MVP, Crosby would have been insufferable today. And so I was kind of rooting for the brand, like when it was 12-0 and Kenneth Walker, all they had to do was score one offensive touchdown and Kenneth Walker was going to win MVP. And it didn't even need to be Kenneth Walker obviously scoring it, right? His touchdown got taken off the board. But just I feel like that was the only way a kicker can win MVP is if they score 100% of the points of the winning team. Like then how do you not give it to him? But once there was a defensive touchdown, usually that carries so much weight in the Super Bowl. I kind of thought it was going to be Witherspoon or Uchenna Nwosu who won it. If that would have been ruled a forced fumble, which it originally was, and it was originally ruled a sack, but then it turned into a pick six, I think Witherspoon had a case too.
I hate that that's the case though. And because I feel like the Super Bowl MVP is something we care about. Like as fans, more than maybe who's MVP of the NBA finals or of the World Series. Like we really care about who the NFL Super Bowl MVP is. And I would have loved to have seen it be that because it was that type of game. And we were talking about this off air a little bit. And you actually said that the only way you could have seen it happen is if it was at that point then to win the game.
Yeah.
If the Seattle's
when it was 19-0, I was then rooting for, okay, if the Patriots do lead some sort of comeback here or get back in this game, and they came down and scored 19-7, I then was hoping that the Patriots would get 21 unanswered points and it would lead to a game winner for Myers. Then he has to win it.
Right. Because he literally won the game.
Yeah. If he wins the game at the end of it and had 5 field goals and 22 points or whatever he would have scored.
Yeah. I mean, he broke the record for most field goals in a game in a Super Bowl. I mean, it was,
Do you know what, here, we'll relate it back to Wisconsin sports with a minute left here. I got angry when they were recapping the most points scored in a Super Bowl because James White holds the record for most points. He scored 20 points in that Super Bowl.
And still didn't get it.
Didn't win MVP. And I was like, wow, I didn't think I was going to get angry at anything during this, but I was annoyed because I was like, he should have won that MVP. I remember that clear as day against the Falcons.
Yeah, I remember being super upset.
Yeah.
And no one else was. Everyone was just casually like
Tom Brady
did
led
it
the
again.
Super Bowl. Yeah, no, that was James White.
Incredible.
James, you're our MVP in that Super Bowl.
Absolutely. And I think that Myers could have had it too in this one. We have more thoughts on the Super Bowl, and we're going to get them out of our heads and off our chests. We want you to do the same thing in the morning mind dump coming up next. Hit them up on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. This is Inside Wisconsin Sports. I'm Josh Albrecht. That's Tommy Wirtz, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios. It's time for your fan weather forecast brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Cloudy conditions will continue all day with a high of 35 degrees. It's currently 20 degrees here in Milwaukee.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I'd like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Seattle reigns above the ball in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
Welcome into Hour 2 Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Josh Albrecht here. Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor. Trevor off today. I'm assuming recovering from his huge Super Bowl party. Find out tomorrow how that went. Also, we're going to find out today if the Packers, what Packer fans can take away from a Seahawks win in the Super Bowl with the guys from 9 to noon. Former Packers fullback John Kuhn, Rami Makloff, answering that question for you this morning, starting at 9 a.m. on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. For more on the Super Bowl, though, and our thoughts, and more importantly, just what you need to get off your chest about the Super Bowl. And you know, I'll tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of thoughts from Tommy and I just watching it as a Packers fan. And so we do that every single morning, weekdays here on Inside Wisconsin Sports, in a segment we call the Morning Mind Dump.
Voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
The coffee is kicked in. We're awake and ready to roll. Let's get some things off our chest and out of our heads.
You don't know what it's like to be me out here for you. It is an up at dawn, pride-swallowing siege that I will never fully tell you about, okay?
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I'm in a glass case of emotion.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We got no food, we got no jobs, our pets' heads are falling off!
It's time for the Morning Mind Dump on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
The Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. That's where you will get your thoughts in for your morning mind dumps, things you need to get off your chest and out of your head. We'll start with a few here. We'll go to the 262 who said, while the fourth quarter was more exciting by that point, I wanted to see the first kicker MVP and the first Super Bowl with no touchdowns. That's my fault for saying that about 3 plays before the first touchdown of the game.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the Tirico jinx at the end of the first half. I think there was like 3 minutes left or so, and he had said there'd never been a half in Super Bowl history that hadn't had a penalty in it, and then immediately a false start right after. I mean, it's just like on cue, like Tirico jinxed it. I don't know if I was rooting for the absolute worst game ever by the end of it.
I kind of was.
But I did want to see the kicker MVP, and he was going to win it. Do you know where $100 if you can tell me where Jason Myers went to college?
No idea.
Marist. Marist College.
Could have said $1 million.
Yeah, I knew you weren't going to get it.
Yeah.
But it was, the game itself, maybe not the best optics, but there were some moments that you could learn as a Packers fan what you need to be in order to win a Super Bowl. I think there were a couple moments in this, and am I kicking this off? Is this how it's going already?
Yeah, you're
all
on
right.
it.
Here's two things that I don't know. Like maybe some people are like, oh, if the Packers are in that game, like they're winning it, right? Based on the performance in that one. I don't know if the Packers would have survived 20 special teams plays. Like that sounds awful.
Exactly.
Like I was no. There was the best tweet I saw from the first half was at halftime. It was like if this game would be 0-0 if McManus was kicking for Seattle. Like that was the first one I saw.
Isn't that a disgusting thought?
Yes. And then the other one is, man, I know that people say defense wins championships, and I think it's defensive line wins the Super Bowl. Like that has been a very common theme now over the last few seasons of getting pressure on the quarterback in the Super Bowl is so crucial to your team's success. We just saw 6 sacks from the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. You remember the Philadelphia Eagles last year just terrorizing. You can remember to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers against Patrick Mahomes when they did that. Getting to the quarterback and that defensive line, you build, and maybe you could argue the other side that it's offensive line that wins the Super Bowl, right?
Sure.
If you're not giving up all these pressures and if you're not causing your quarterback to end up on his behind. But I think that if the Packers have Micah Parsons, let's just say healthy Micah Parsons.
Yep.
Right. That's great. There's no one on that Seahawks defensive line who is Rashawn Gary. And that is not a compliment to Rashawn Gary.
Dude, you nailed it. So here's the thing, right? I feel like a lot of Packers fans, if they're watching the Super Bowl, because it's a Super Bowl, right? So you're still watching even though your team's not in it. But watching that game, I know a lot of people going into that game were saying, well, hey, if the Packers were healthy, this could have been them. This could have been them, right? We saw essentially Ed Policy, Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, all of it was, yeah, we're throwing it as we're running it back because the injury bug is the reason why we weren't there. Gutekunst came out in his end of the year presser and said, I expected us to win that game against Chicago and then to go and win against Seattle, the team that is now Super Bowl champions. That's what he said. I will tell you, watching that game, Tommy, the Packers aren't there. That defense is not there.
Well, if they beat Seattle, they are.
No. I'm saying the Packers defense is not to where the Seattle defense was or is. And so, yeah, maybe you have a healthy Micah Parsons. Maybe you have a Micah Parsons that is getting to Drake May. But without Wyatt and without someone that isn't Gary on that other side, and then having secondary, like that defense from Seattle was smothering at a level that made it to where if you were a Patriots fan, you just threw your hands up.
And
you're like, there's nothing we can do. Packers defense isn't there. And so for that reason alone, I'm going, there's no way you watched that game last night and you go, the Packers could have won the Super Bowl if they were healthy.
Well, yes and no, because I actually do think that Micah Parsons, I after 1 year, it really took maybe 5 games for me to feel this way. He's my new Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre-esque player where it's like, well, if that guy's in the game, we got a chance. Like, doesn't matter. He's a game wrecker, closer at the end of games, and the motor like no one else. Like, those are guys you need to have on their team. Unless you are the Seattle Seahawks and everyone on your team is good. Like that, that's the alternative. It is either you need to have that game wrecker, unbelievable talent on one side of the ball to give yourself a chance, or you got to be like John Schneider and just build a perfect team around. The other one that came up was John Schneider is now the first general manager to win 2 Super Bowls where he did not have the same head coach and did not have a single player that was on the roster from the last Super Bowl team. So I know 11 years later, very unlikely you're going to have the exact same roster.
Sure, yes.
But didn't have the same coach either. And he was coaching in the NFL this year, no matter how terrible he did at coaching the Las Vegas Raiders. Pete Carroll was in the NFL, had an opportunity to keep that same coach. And John Schneider just did a fantastic job building a roster around Sam Darnold. playing to the strengths. Kenneth Walker was the best kept secret in the postseason because remember, all throughout the regular season, it was him and Charbonnet were splitting carries. I mean, he was getting like 13 carries a game in the regular season. And if you remember the run from the Green Bay Packers in 2011, we were talking about it last week a little bit. No one knew James Starks. Right. And the injury happens at the end of the year, and James Starks has to pop in and take over. The Packers do not win the Super Bowl without James Starks. They do not get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but why did Starks have the opportunity to make that? Because of the line, because of the offensive line.
Yeah, maybe the alternative is the offensive line wins the Super Bowl, but the pressure that we saw from Seattle on the defensive side, I mean, Will Campbell being the top pick he was, ends up having like the worst game in Super Bowl history for an offensive lineman, basically. 14 pressures allowed, just kept Drake May. I also thought Drake May, like, you got to run around a little more, man.
But the thing is that even when he had more than 2 seconds to throw the ball, there were guys open, right? That's what I'm saying. If you have Micah Parsons out there, okay, so scheme around Parsons, quick slants, get the ball out of your hands, and know that you're going to burn past Nixon. You're going to, get around Valentine. You're going to have opportunities for guys to get 7 or 8 yards. You're going to be able to make plays. And that's what I'm talking about with the Seahawks. Their defense was just better. They're just a better defense, period, all around. I don't think that Micah Parsons is enough to make up for that. Do I think that the Packers offense would have been able to do better than the Patriots offense did? Yeah, absolutely. But if you watch that game from the Seahawks, I don't know how you go, if the Packers, even with the healthy Micah Parsons, would have gone and played up against that defense, they would have been fine. I don't see it. There needs to, and this was my point all along with my frustration with Ed Policy and needing to see a change and not just running it back, is because I feel like there needs to be more. I need more additions to this team. I need to cut the fat. I need this team to get better during the offseason to prove, even just to start the season on paper, this Packers team can crush anyone in the NFC. Because going in right now, seeing what the Seahawks were, Packers don't have it. I don't think the Packers have it right now. And hopefully I'm wrong, but I don't know how you watch that game and you go, Micah Parsons alone could do that. I just don't see it.
That's how I feel about Micah Parsons. Like I'm ready to sell out everything for that guy. I think that I don't think the Green Bay Packers were the best football team. I think that was the Seattle Seahawks. I think quietly the Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL this year, and no one was really talking about it. And maybe that was because of Sam Darnold's the quarterback and lack of star power throughout the rest of the roster. But I mean, they had some phenomenal numbers when you look at the statistics behind it this year. For instance, Seattle this year, number 2. Let me start up here. The number 1 scoring defense and the number 3 scoring offense during the regular season. Feels like that's pretty damn good, right? They scored the most points per game in the playoffs, and they allowed the second fewest points per game in the playoffs. When you get into the analytics of it, they're number 2 in DVOA on offense. They were number 1 in DVOA in the regular season on defense, number 1 on offense in DVOA in postseason, and number 3 in defense and DVOA in the postseason as well. Like, they were casually and quietly the best team in the NFL this year.
Yeah. And then it showed. I don't know. It doesn't matter because the Packers were injured and they weren't there. But I feel like there are too many pieces missing, and they got to have a good draft and they got to have some guys step up. I need to see some Goody make some signings, bring in some people. I need to see some moves being made more than just, hey, we got some guys healthy. I'm not saying that when you bring back Devontae Wyatt, Micah Parsons, Tucker Kraft, these type of guys, obviously the team gets immediately better. You're still missing pieces. To get over that hump, to truly be the best team in the NFL, they're missing a few pieces. We go to the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Ziggy chimes in, says, couple of thoughts, boys. MVP is clearly an offensive award in the Super Bowl. 2 great defenses played in the front 7. We're constantly getting pressure. Also, Josh was off Friday. Wanted to let him know I got my first 700 last week. Hey, there you go, Ziggy. Good for you. Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was at, it was a defensive game, the whole game. I mean, it was the Seahawks had more opportunities to take advantage of explosive plays, but really that was all Kenneth Walker. Like anything that Sam Darnold was throwing downfield still was being played beautifully defensively from the Patriots. Like a ton,
that Christian Gonzalez play was
amazing.
That was art. That was awesome. When he,
do you trust anyone on the Packers secondary to be able to stop that play?
No.
The answer is no.
No.
Tom. Right. That's my point.
No.
That's what I'm saying is that there's even if they have Micah Parsons.
Hey, I will say this. Do you run it back with Carrington Valentine, knowing that next year the Super Bowl is on February 14th?
Yeah, a lot of people already making a lot of memes talking about not Valentine, but talking about Love.
Yeah,
and saying, would it not make sense that Jordan Love be the Super Bowl MVP when the game is played on Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
By the way, let's take this opportunity to let everyone know this Saturday, Valentine's Day. So if you need to make a reservation or get flowers or plan something, you have, a couple of days. But make sure you check ahead on your calendar because the Super Bowl is over. And now Valentine's Day coming up this Saturday. Let's keep going here on the Nicolay Law fan talk and text line. We had one from the 202 who texted in a bunch here, but I'm going to read through it. Morning, guys. I'm texting from the D.C. area. I congratulate the Seahawks for a great defensive performance and victory. However, the Super Bowl felt like a Week 17 playoff contenders match instead of a final, as I prefer the close nail-biter matches in regards to performance and scores. Yeah, I think all of us would have. I mean, that's just sports, right? Like, if you get a 2-game or a 2-hit pitcher's duel in baseball, or a great defensive battle in the NBA or in the NFL, those aren't as flashy, aren't as many highlights. Kind of goes back to what Ziggy was saying about the MVP clearly just being an offensive player award. That's because that's how we view sports. It's you look for those flashy plays. We don't appreciate the defensive side of sports enough. I agree with that. But my big thing was that I didn't want a bunch of punts and field goals. And for the fact that that's what the first 3 quarters of the game was.
The game was punts.
It was
and field
too
goals.
much.
Are we shocked by this? The Super Bowl is like a 50% chance that it's a good game over the last recent years.
I think it's even less than that.
So this year, 21, the Seahawks and New England, 29-13, game stinks, right? Last year, the Eagles destroyed the Chiefs, 40-22. It felt like that didn't the Chiefs slowly get a lot of garbage time in that one too?
I think so.
If I remember correctly. Now, the year before was Kansas City, San Francisco, 25-22. That was a great game. Kansas City, Philadelphia. That was 38-35. That was a great game. Even Rams, Cincinnati. So we're 3 years in a row of good games, 23-20. The year before that was the Tampa Bay, Kansas City one. That one stunk where it was 31-9. The Kansas City, San Francisco 2020 Super Bowl was 31-20. And the most memorable thing was the halftime show of Jennifer Lopez and Shakira in that one. And then the year before that was New England and LA when they scored 16 points in the whole Super Bowl. Like, that's just going back to 2019. You can go all the way back to Super Bowl 50 when it was Denver, Carolina, and that game wasn't all that great. And Seattle had 43-8 over Denver in 2014. Like, over the last 10 years, it's kind of been 50-50 if the game's been good or not.
I think it's an interesting point too, because I said during the World Series that when you get to the playoffs, when you get to postseason baseball, you need to have power. You need to have, because you're going up against the best pitchers. And so you need to take advantage of every mistake. And that's why a lot of times when someone does make a mistake, it's out of the park. They hit it out of the park, and sometimes you have games that end 2-0, and that's a normal postseason game. I feel like in the Super Bowl, you're bringing up all those scores and the highlights from those games. Yeah, it's because it so much more leans on the defense. You had an opportunity for an okay offense when going up against bad defenses to blow out teams, but that doesn't happen in the Super Bowl. In the Super Bowl, you have good defenses going up against each other. And even if you have a great offense, it's still going to be, for the most part, a low-scoring game until things get out of hand, like they did last night when the Seahawks just took over. But even then, when the Seahawks took over, it was still because of the defense. So, I don't know. I will say this. Jeremy from Racine here on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line says, I can't stand our corners either, but maybe they are better in Gannon's system. Hey, maybe you're hanging out with Trevor Thomas this morning. That's a lot of optimism. And maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Who knows? We will find out. I'm just saying, watching the play that we've seen from our secondary does not have me confident that they can do anything close to what Seattle did last night.
Are we still mind dumping right now? Do I have one more to squeeze in real quick? I don't see it. I feel like we did talk about this in pre-show, and now I'm looking back and I'm like, were we not going to bring this up at all? Like, you had to root for Seattle for the Sam Darnold leaving the Vikings
Absolutely.
angle. Like, that was very enjoyable as someone who watched the game with a Vikings fan to see him just being like, oh, he's going to lose it all week and go Patriots. And then it was a quarter into the game when the game was not mathematically over, but it felt over already. The ghost that he saw that Sam Darnold had originally seen in New York was chef's kiss.
Yeah, absolutely. That was my main reason for cheering for the Seahawks.
Absolutely.
Was just hate watching Vikings fans.
I couldn't stand the Seahawks and still can't at all either with what they've done to the Green Bay Packers in the postseason. But man, was that awesome to see Vikings fans just being like, we literally gave away the guy who won the freaking Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that was part of the reason why, more than most recent years, I was great. I wanted Sam Darnold to win MVP, right? Obviously, it's usually the quarterback has the best odds to win the MVP. I wanted that to be the case this year, just so that it would be extra salt in the wound to Vikings fans of not only did you let Sam Darnold walk, but now he's the Super Bowl MVP the following year for a different team. So I'm still happy that they won, and you're able to tell that narrative of, hey, the Vikings really messed up. But it would have been even better if Sam Darnold wins the MVP, just for that hate watching for Vikings fans.
Yeah,
would have loved that.
I have no problem hate watching. That was fun.
Hate watching is the best. I don't understand people that can't hate watch. You should always be hate watching. That being said, it's also part of hate watching is hating when the game becomes a ref show. Didn't happen last night. A few people talking about there should have been more penalties. It seemed like the NFL might have said, like, keep that yellow hanky in your pocket.
They're letting the boys play.
We're going to talk about that and what happened with the Badger basketball game and how that became a ref show as well. When we come back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh Albrecht here, Trevor Thomas out, Tommy Wirtz in, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. What can Packers fans take away from a Seahawks win in the Super Bowl? Find out what the guys think on 9 to noon with former Packers fullback John Kuhn this morning, starting at 9 on 9 to noon on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. From now, you have me, Josh Albrecht, and Tommy Wirtz here on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. And we've been talking a lot of Super Bowl. We appreciate you guys getting your thoughts in on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. And a few of you have been chiming in talking about the lack of penalties in the game. And I think that's just so interesting because how many times, Tommy, are we saying, man, I wish there were more penalties called? I was satisfied.
Yeah, I mean, let the boys play, right? Last game of the year, you probably didn't want to have any sort of doubt and any sort of decisions left into the officials' hands. However, I mean, they were letting them play. And I go back to the was it Hunter Henry who got hit in the end zone one? Like, definitely got there early, and not that it made a difference. They ended up scoring a touchdown with the Travion Henderson touchdown later in that drive anyway, or later in that possession. It was fine. You like you said, we're going to scream for more penalties. We're going to scream for more officiating in a game. That's not why I turned into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, usually it's one of the main things that people are complaining about. Scott from the 262 said the late out of bounds that wasn't called seemed to wake up the Patriots. Flags usually fly when that happens. Yeah, there was definitely a late hit out of bounds by the Seahawks.
Oh, well, the one where he like punched him in the face too, right in front of the ref. That was crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, like you saw refs getting in there, breaking it up. It was very obvious that they were told, no, be more lenient than usual. We have N Constant 2302 chiming in on the YouTube stream. You can, of course, also, beyond listening to us, watch us on YouTube at WI Sports Radio on Twitter and YouTube. Said other than late hits and punches thrown, they were okay. Yeah, those are two big things, though. Yeah, besides all of those penalties that weren't called, I thought they did okay. I don't know, man. I think it was interesting that people want more of that. It was completely different than how I felt with the Badgers the day before.
Yeah.
The Badgers on Saturday losing in overtime to Indiana, essentially on a foul. That was the reason why they lost.
It was a rough look. It was a rough call, and you want to win that game over Indiana. Both, Indiana Badgers probably right on same par with each other. I think that this Badger team is getting battle tested right now, and that when we had Brad Davison on Friday when you were out, Josh.
Love Brad.
He was great. He was awesome, and we talked a lot about how this team is trying to find some sort of rhythm, and seemed like they had found some sort of rhythm. I mean, they fought back in the second half, right? They were down 6 at half, end up forcing OT, and then the foul happens at the end of the game, or pseudo foul on some people's brains. I really think that Greg Gard, though, if you missed it, he had some choice words after the game.
I haven't seen the second one, but the one there at the end, I've never seen anything like that. I don't know. I mean, they're trying to foul. They actually fouled us 3 times coming up the floor, and then called on offensively. We were driving away from the basket. And I don't know. I don't understand that call. So I'll get more clarification. I've never seen that type of call he made before, so I guess there's a first for everything.
Did you feel like that was consistent with how the game was officiated for the other 40-some minutes?
No. It's a hard game to ref, but that wasn't a hard call.
Yeah, so it's kind of the same point too, and maybe part of it is you just want that consistency in when the ref calls the foul, throws the flag, whatever it is.
Right. I don't even know if it's consistency. I think you just don't want it to end up looking like it caused a result.
Sure.
And
I feel like a lot of time in those close situations, they won't blow the whistle, right? They don't want it to be that way. That even if it was a foul, sometimes they'll just let it play because they don't want it to be that the game ended because of, and then it just, this one was the opposite, and it became the ref show.
But to your point, consistency also important. And you go back a decade now and talk about that Badgers national championship game against Duke, and you remember, Justice Winslow touched it, right, and that was a foul on Tyus Jones or whatever it was, and now you're looking back at just make the right call in the right moment. It's harder than it is than saying that. I understand, but I also think that if you usually the coach answer to this is it shouldn't have come down to that, right? That would have been that. Doug, ask Doug on Wednesday. Okay, I know he doesn't like to live in the past, but you got to ask Doug on Wednesday. Like, hey, did you see that call? And I will say, I bet you Doug's going to be like, well, it shouldn't have came down to that, right? It shouldn't come down to a foul right there at the end of the game.
We don't even need to have Doug on.
Right.
We just give you
I'll just pretend to be Doug on Wednesday.
Sounded good to me.
I can do that. But it is something that this Badger basketball team and this refs officiating, it feels like every year we have this conversation in every sport where it is the refs are worse than they've ever been. The refs are just terrible. Any sport will complain about. What sport is the happiest with their officials?
Oh,
I mean,
right. Anytime you think of one, something that pops in my, you can't go baseball.
Can't say baseball.
Think how many times, this guy, what is he, blind?
Yeah. I mean,
that was a strike.
Baseball's going to get there. They're going to have ABS now, so maybe that'll help things out. But then it kind of eliminates the fun of the human element in baseball.
I mean, there was a play to start the game on the Seattle's first drive where Seattle hurried to the line and got the playoff. It wasn't challenged. And
the cup catch on the sideline or whatever
where
it was,
he definitely
right?
looked out.
Yeah.
Like he didn't have 2 feet down with control. And Tirico said, replay assist is only when it's clear, and concise evidence, whatever. And it was like, yep, that didn't happen.
Yeah, you just don't want to. You don't want to remember officiating in the Super Bowl. Like if you can call a forgettable game in the Super Bowl, you did a great job.
I think also in this case, it's just it didn't matter. Right? That's
at the beginning of the game, it was 0-0. I mean, maybe it did matter at that moment.
Sure. It sure didn't feel like it did. They would have gotten the ball into field goal range, and it would have been the field goal show that it was. So I don't know. I'm not saying that there isn't enough reason to complain. There's always a reason to complain about the way a game's officiated, but I definitely think that's just the part of sports. It's part of sports. You can say there weren't enough flags thrown in the game in the Super Bowl, and you can say that the refs did a terrible job on the calls that they made against the Badgers, against Indiana. It's just part of being a sports fan is complaining about the refs. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to be a ref because I don't know that you ever finish your job at the end of the day and get hey, good job today. Like, I just don't think that happens. And so that makes it a rough. I will tell you, beyond complaining about that, there were plenty of people complaining about the halftime show and commercials that happened in the Super Bowl. We're gonna touch on those when we come back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. I'm Josh Albrecht. Trevor Thomas out today. Tommy Wirtz in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, and we are powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Josh Albrecht here. Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor today, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Want to give a shout out to the entire network. Thanks for listening on 99.7 FM WNFL in Green Bay, 93.9 The Game in Wausau, 710 The Game in Duluth, Superior, and 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan in Milwaukee. Make sure to follow us on social media at WI Sports Radio on every platform for the station, and honor Josh on Twitter for me, and Tommy WSSP for Tommy Wirtz. All right, Tommy, it's time to talk what happened when the action wasn't going on in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Halftime show and commercials. Let's get the commercials out of the way first.
They sucked.
Yeah. Okay.
God, they sucked extra hard this year.
Really?
Extra hard.
Okay.
Sucked.
I want to know, because I've been saying this for a while, that I feel like the fact that the NFL and NBC, whoever it is charging what they are for commercials is insane now, considering the fact that it's not even the debut of the commercials. Like 90% of the commercials are on YouTube and social media like weeks before the Super Bowl. They're not even new content.
Yeah, so here's my take on that. I think that is A, lazy excuse, and B, I didn't see any of these commercials early. Like, maybe that's just my social media algorithm. Like, I was seeing all those commercials for the first time. I promise. I didn't see any on YouTube. I didn't see any on Twitter beforehand. And I know other people maybe are more in the weeds on
your
social
algorithm.
media.
It's your algo, bro.
Well, I mean, I just got my screen report, and it was 7.5 hours a day, and I almost threw up in my mouth because I thought that was ridiculous. And I still hadn't seen any of these commercials early. I just think they sucked. And there's some major was there a Doritos commercial?
Nope.
Was there an M&M's commercial?
Nope.
What
Mountain Dew? No.
Mountain Dew, that was the other one I was going to say. Like all the old classics.
Taco Bell? Nope.
Right. They're like the guys, they're kicking out the vets. I mean, like, what happened to the game I loved?
I don't think they're kicking them out.
Pricing them out.
I think that they're saying we're not getting the same bang for our buck. You got to remember, it was not that long ago where like Bud Light had 4 commercials in a game. And then you still had your classic Budweiser Clydesdale commercial. This year they had 1 Bud Light commercial and 1 Budweiser Clydesdale commercial. That was it.
The Budweiser commercial where Freebird was playing.
Yeah.
And then the farmer was like, I'm going to cry. Like that one.
It was a great commercial.
That one was good.
It was easy.
And that was my favorite commercial throughout the process. And that was such a vanilla commercial on top of it.
You're right.
That like there was nothing crazy going on in that. Do you remember a few years ago, I don't know if it was crypto.com or Coinbase or whoever this Bitcoin-esque, company was, the best commercial I have ever seen in my life.
Whoa.
Is the QR code bouncing like the loading screen on an old school TV, where it was literally like you want to see it hit the corner. Yeah. But they did it with a QR code. No other advertisement anywhere else.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all.
And I remember watching it with a bunch of friends, being like, "Okay, what's going on here?" And we're like, maybe 15 seconds into the commercial, we're like, "Okay, I gotta scan this. Like, I gotta scan this. Like, what is going on?" And sure enough, it takes you to some crypto website where it's like invest, right? And I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But it crashed their website. The numbers blew up because everyone was just curious at a point, and that didn't have to be funny. Like, and a lot of people associate humor with Super Bowl commercials.
Yes,
but that was just creative and just fantastic marketing.
So, did you think that when they did the karaoke Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, the T-Mobile one.
No. The Backstreet Boys got a lot of run this year. So they had a T-Mobile commercial featuring the Backstreet Boys.
That was another.
And then Crypto.com had one where it was literally 30 seconds of just like karaoke.
And then they took out what word did they take out?
I don't know.
Coinbase was in there.
Yeah. And then at the end it was Crypto.com. I wasn't a huge fan of that, so I didn't think it was that good. I like the Dunkin' commercial. I thought that was okay.
I think when sidebar, did you watch the Super Bowl with just your wife and your family then?
Yes.
So again, like your kids don't know that song, and you and your wife just singing karaoke in your living room together probably doesn't play. The Super Bowl parties, I would assume that might have been a fun commercial.
Maybe.
Where it's like 10, 15 of you singing whatever, Backstreet Boys. Like that would have been kind of fun, maybe.
The 414 says, looked like many AI commercials and dumb. They're trying too hard. Let me do it with a $10,000 budget. Yeah, I don't know that's going to happen 414, but it definitely did seem that way, that like the commercials either had a ton of AI or they were promoting AI. AI was very prevalent in the Super Bowl commercials this year.
Get used to that. So.
I don't know that. I'm telling you, one of the big things that it didn't matter who was playing in the game. You had to watch for the commercials. I feel like that sizzle is completely gone.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's just
like I said, I think these are
they're still on. They're still on, but you can go to the bathroom now. Like it's just it loses that sizzle of, I can't miss the commercials. So I'll have a few breaks where I can go, but I can't miss a commercial. Yeah, you can.
I would love to know how many people like were not caught off guard by commercials, like on how many people were, I remember this one, or I saw this one already, because I don't think I saw a single one early.
Yeah,
I didn't. I just thought in the moment, these all suck.
Yeah. All right, let's quickly talk about the halftime show here, because that was everything that was on social media, which, by the way, it is every year. Every year, what's on social media has nothing to do with the game or even the commercials. It's always the halftime show. It's been that way for years, people complaining or praising the Super Bowl halftime show. I hate politics. I hate that the halftime show became political. Also, I just hate watching things. Like, I don't understand when we stopped just watching things to complain about them and find alternatives.
Just because of personal taste.
Correct. When did that become a thing? So I thought that was very strange. I did not understand a single word in the halftime show.
Correct.
I took 4 years of Spanish, did not help, forgot all of it. And I will say Jessica Alba was on the screen for a minute. That was awesome.
Pedro Pascal, I'm getting sick of. Shout out IT Ed. He'll get that.
Okay. Not a Pedro Pascal fan.
He's just in everything now. He's in his Kevin Hart phase.
I was
being in every single thing.
I had no idea that's what Ricky Martin looked like. I
had no idea that was Ricky Martin.
Had no idea until social media pointed that out, and I was like, okay, cool. Ricky Martin looks amazing.
Lady Gaga, you understood Lady Gaga's part, right?
Yeah, yes, okay. Lady Gaga.
English.
Yep, that part. Although I didn't understand, like I was like, that's not her song. Is that a Bad Bunny song? I didn't know, but I was like, yep, Lady Gaga's there. All right, cool. It was cool, the little Easter eggs to find out like that couple did actually get married.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
Giving the kid the Grammy was cool.
Yeah, the Grammy was cool. The fireworks were cool. I did like after the fact seeing that the plants were people.
Yeah,
that was nuts.
Yeah.
So like all of that stuff, that's all part of it, right? That's all part of the halftime show. And then after the fact, being able to say, I hated it. That sucked. Worst one. Like, I always just felt like that was part of it. And so the fact that there was something else for people to not watch the halftime show, you could say you watched something else during the halftime show, and that's fine. I hope you enjoyed it. But you didn't watch the halftime show, right? That used to be it, was that forever people watched the halftime show and they went, I don't even know this guy. What is this band? Is this what they're choosing to do? Last year, Kendrick Lamar played. I know one Kendrick Lamar song. So one. I know one. And so I watched that and I went, okay, that did nothing for me. I watched this. It was exactly the same. I watched Bad Bunny. I went, I'm probably just old now.
Yeah.
Like I'm just old. I don't know a single Bad Bunny song. I don't know anything that he performed. But I saw Human Trees. I saw a lot of butts. I saw Jessica Alba. And I saw some Easter egg stuff that happened as well. And so that's my report on the halftime show. What it's become was annoying and irritating. And I hated that we couldn't just either love the Super Bowl halftime show or hate the Super Bowl halftime show. It had to become more than that.
Well, and I think that, it was obviously a little bit bigger than the performance itself. I mean, 142 million people estimated to have watched it. That's pretty crazy already. But I mean, when I'm thinking of like all timers, I mean, it's not sniffing Prince Purple Rain.
No, I mean Prince is the GOAT. It's not even close.
And then I mean, Rihanna, I just thought was so great. Bruno Mars, another one that I
So
just
a lot
loved.
of people like Bruno Mars. The Bruno Mars, I know a lot of people went into it going, "Ow, Bruno Mars was," but he put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, and the other one that I also want to mention more recency is The Weeknd. Like when The Weeknd did it, and I think that was a big draw for this Bad Bunny one. Was it was all about like the production and how it was made for TV kind of thing, right? And it was awesome. It looked great. The Weeknd started that trend because that was the COVID year.
Yep.
And he's dominated that ever since then too. So I think it was a fine Super Bowl halftime show. Again, I'm pretty indifferent, I guess. And right, I didn't understand any of it from the language barrier part of it because I don't speak Spanish. But I mean, it looked like it was lit. Everyone was dancing.
Yeah.
Everyone was having fun. Like, okay, cool. Like, move on. It's
It was a
the
vibe.
Super Bowl halftime.
It was
show.
a vibe. Yeah. It wasn't a vibe for everybody, and that's fine.
That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if it wasn't for you, that's great. Complain about it. That's what we do in America. We complain about things. And so I'm all about that. I don't mind you complain. I'm going to complain about it. I didn't love it. I didn't love it by any means. I still watched it.
Right, yeah.
Because it's a halftime show. That's what you do. I also am complaining about the game. I've been complaining about the game all morning long, too. That's half the fun is complaining. I need to find out if I need to complain about the Milwaukee Bucks. Because, again, the Bucks making news when I'm trying to focus on football, just like they did all Packers playoff season long. And we're going to talk to Ty Windish of the Eurostep podcast and figure out what the heck's going on. If this team is tanking, not tanking, what's with the Cam Thomas move? We're going to get all those questions answered and more when we come back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Josh Albrecht, Trevor Thomas out, Tommy Wirtz in, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
I am an eternal optimist. So please, God, don't tell me that you're an eternal pessimist.
I like to say I'm a realist.
Oh, it's great. We're going to get along great. This is going to be great.
This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh.
Seattle reigns above them all in the NFL. The Seahawks, Super Bowl champions for the second time.
Hey, congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. They win Super Bowl 60. They beat the Patriots 29-13, but really the game was over way before that. This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Trevor out. I'm Josh Albrecht. Tommy Wirtz in. Tommy, how we doing? You good over there?
Yeah, 2 hours in, just like that. This show flies.
That's right.
It flies in the morning.
When we're having fun, we're having a lot of fun. An important PSA for our listeners, by the way. Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh is also a podcast. You can find us anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also, and I would suggest, just going to wisportsradio.com and catch the full episode. Listen by individual hour or jump straight to the highlights. Just open up your favorite podcast app or go to wisportsradio.com, search for Inside Wisconsin Sports, and hit the follow button so you get every minute of the show your way and on your time.
Can I say something?
Please.
I'm so excited for breakfast in an hour.
Yeah.
Like we made a split decision that we're going to go to breakfast, and I'm going with or without you if you change your mind or not. I want to go so bad.
Listen, I love breakfast, and I don't usually. It's not very often that you and I get to do the show together, and it would be very difficult for Trevor and I to go to breakfast after a show. So I'm like, let's do it. Let's do this.
Go to breakfast. I'm gonna pound some eggs. I cannot wait.
And that's a drop. And that's a drop that I'm going to hold on to for a very long time. So
what would you guys, you know, the content that I give you guys on this show all the time.
Yeah.
I got people commenting Tommy Chonga over here in the comments section.
Dude, Tommy Chonga is great.
I kind of overslept, even though I didn't.
Yeah,
last
I heard
week
you
on
fell
the show.
asleep.
Yeah, that was
good.
That was dumb that it was like blown up to that level. But
why'd you do it?
Well, I was tired. I'm doing terrible. Everyone knows by now, like I sleep here and bring an overnight
It is wild.
whenever I have to work this morning show because I don't trust myself to wake up. And sure enough, I don't want to hear from anyone else anymore because it worked out perfectly last week, Friday, where I fell back asleep after waking up and it was 5:30. If it would have been 5:30 and I was at my house, we're cutting it pretty close on if I'm going to be here on time or not. And Trevor, like he was terrified for like a half
that
hour.
Also sounds about right.
Just like calling everyone in their mind. And he tried to call Sparky and he was going to call Sparky to be like, I don't know where Tommy is. Can you come in? And I don't know if there would have been a worst case scenario that if Sparky would have answered and then Trevor said he would have stopped calling me once Sparky answered. And Sparky walks into the studio and sees me asleep on the couch.
Sparky would have been so happy.
Like he would have smacked me, and I would have given him the permission. I would have been like, "Yeah, that's a smackable."
Listen,
offense.
this
not that he does.
This time slot
but
isn't for everybody. All right,
no.
and I'm not gonna lie, it comes with some anxiety. Getting up in the morning.
I used to do the show like I had a show that started at this time, right? And 8 o'clock was a great schedule.
Oh,
I was working like
a big difference.
I was working like 8 to 2. I mean, I was still coming in like at like 7 every day. I mean, it was a totally smooth schedule. I have the rest of my day, and I can wake up at 6. Like waking up at 6 and waking up at 4:45, big difference in that hour 15.
Yes,
massive difference.
Yes, there is.
So, just wanted to say that you're welcome for all the content I give you guys. Whenever I do fill in sleep deprived and all.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for that. We're going to have better content coming up next segment with Ty Windish from the Eurostep podcast when he joins us to talk about what's going on with the Bucs, what the heck we're supposed to be doing as Bucs fans, and what's going on with Cam Thomas and him now being a part of this team. But before that, we got to touch on the Olympics for a few reasons. First of all, because they're happening. Hey, you remember the Winter Olympics? They're happening. But the big story was Lindsey Vonn, who just obliterates her ACL and then says, yeah, I'm still going to compete, even though it's in a week. And we all were like, oh, what? Because we're used to in watching, you have an ACL, you're done for the year, right? That's what we hear from our athletes. And she obliterates hers, and then a week later, she's like, yeah, I'm still going to compete. I said, this is going to be one of two things. This is either going to be awful, or this is going to be a movie. This is going to be a Disney movie they're going to be able to make if she wins gold after all of this. She goes out, and this happens.
Lindsey Vonn pulls out of the gate in hopes of more Olympic glory.
I just know after the years of watching her, she will ski at her limit. The tone is set right here.
Oh my goodness, no!
Oh my goodness.
These guys, I mean, I don't know how you're supposed to react, but those guys were so distraught.
It was. Did you see it? Have you seen it? I mean, it's awful and it's awkward. So if you missed it, Lindsey Vonn, she ended up when she was going around a turn, I don't know, one of the flags that they have there, she caught too much of it with her arm, and then she got air, and there's no way she was going to be able to stay straight. She had all the speed. Like, they have drone footage now. Like, they're following these guys down this downhill skiing on drones, and you just see how fast they're going, and it's insane.
Well, and it shows the miles per hour now up there too. Yeah,
insanity. And she just goes flying. She had to be met. She's in the chopper. They're taking her up. I'm going, oh my God. So literally, could not have gone worse.
Right.
In terms of just everything that you feared when Lindsey Vonn was out there. Now, some people talked about beforehand of, is this her being selfish? Does this make sense? Is she taking a spot away from another Olympian that should be in there, giving the U.S. the best chance? I feel like all of that was saved because of Breezy Johnson. So Breezy Johnson, another U.S. athlete, goes on, wins gold in that event, in the same event. So you're still hearing the U.S. national anthem played and gold, red, white, and blue, America, heck yeah. So that was great. But if not for Breezy Johnson, what's the narrative that we're talking about here?
I don't think she's safe from that still. I am like, I feel like someone needs to be held responsible. Like, that's how I feel
for letting her go.
Whether it's her, whether it's the team, whether it's the committee, like I am a little like, it felt like star power, let her go, sure, but I mean, luckily, she's. It sounds like in better spirits and doing all right, and everyone's recovery now is the next stage. But giving someone a chance like that maybe wasn't going to be on this team until then, and the committee like just allowing her to go out there with this torn ACL, where that probably like isn't a good look. Like, I know that the Winter Olympics are very much the extreme version of the Olympics, right? They're going downhill 70 miles an hour and all snow and ice everywhere. And it's supposed to be for those who are maybe a little crazy. That was like, we can't be, the risk had to go way through, and you can't be like ready for that.
But let's say that she doesn't crash out and she just doesn't perform as well. Let's say she takes 6th. Are you saying that then? Is the narrative, is the story around Lindsey Vonn's decision as bad?
Do they make Disney movies about 6th place?
No. But that's my point. I'm saying, like, I feel awful for Lindsey Vonn. I feel awful that this happened and that this is how it went down and what happened to her. I still think that the fact that the U.S. still held gold was a huge saving grace.
Sure. And from the 262 here, Vonn took 3rd in the trial. She deserved to be there. Anyone saying she shouldn't doesn't know skiing. First comment to that. I don't know skiing. I know Lindsey Vonn. I know Lindsey Vonn. Fair enough. Good point. But I'm telling you that, was it worth, what was the assumption of risk with this? It feels like that is something that needs to be brought up.
I love this from Stephen G-Town helping us out. He says, it's an individual event. Vonn earned that spot, not the U.S. The next qualifier from wherever moves in. You don't just sub in your buddy.
So there wouldn't have been another American.
So maybe there wouldn't have been another American.
Okay, well,
Does that change your opinion?
I guess. Well, but again, we're looking at it from a hindsight. And does she crash if she doesn't have this torn ACL? Could she have moved any differently?
They showed like her Olympic history, and it is just all covered with injuries and things she's faced. It's almost like terribly depressing, poetic that this is how it ends for her, because she's gone through a lot of injuries.
Well, I guess I didn't know that it wouldn't have been. Yeah, because it's an individual event. It makes sense that it would just been the next qualifiers. So sure, then it doesn't give an American another spot, and I'm supposed to be rooting for the Americans in the Olympics. I get that, but I don't know. I hate to see that, and now probably going to be how her career ends, being 41 years old, right? On how all that went down. It's a pretty tragic ending, it feels like.
I just got to also say, first of all, awesome to see Breezy Johnson win. That was super cool. Also, the fact that a downhill skier has a first name of Breezy is so cool. Like, that's so awesome. And I have to say, really think about, like, we say that all the time with baseball players, right? Like, you think about like Scooter Jeanette.
Yeah.
Like, Scooter, like, oh, what a baseball name. I got to tell you that it was just, when these people are named, you don't know what they're going to become, right? And so if her name is legitimately Breezy, like someone's like, let's name our daughter Breezy, and then this happens, like, that's the coolest thing. Like, I just love when life puts that together. And it was super awesome seeing her reaction and her emotion, trying to hold it together when, you know, she gets her moment. She wins gold. The national anthem's played.
Yeah.
That was awesome. So good for her. You have your own thoughts on Lindsey Vonn. And
shout out to Deuces _Brewers. Cool Runnings is a Disney movie. That was a great rebuttal. They do make Disney movies about not first place right there. Like,
well, that
was great.
It was a little bit different of a movie. It wasn't necessarily a Remember the Titans type esque motivational sports movie, but yeah.
Okay.
That's true.
Respect. I didn't think of any of them, but John Candy, a legend in that one.
Are you gonna watch Winter Olympics? Are you in, like, if it's on at least? Because I tell myself every time
that one figure skating dude that I can't pronounce his name, but he's American. He's insane.
Yeah, that was nuts.
I mean, he's doing backflips and twists and everything. Like, ice skating is so not easy at all either for me.
Yeah,
I remember I could roller skate and rollerblade very well. I'm like, oh, this will be easy. It's just on ice. I'm like, oh no, that is not the same. And on top of that, you know, I think hockey, you know, keep an eye on hockey. That's always fun. And we had Nick Baumgartner on last week, who does snowboard cross, which is basically just downhill snowboarding. That looks pretty awesome too. So I might take a peek at that.
Yeah, I think I'm going to watch some of these events, but like, I have no idea when things start.
The speed skating is also great. They're like, I have a lot of, like, Apollo Ono was the guy to watch.
Yeah,
I remember
he got so much hype,
and he was so fun. I remember when the two Koreans like collided into each other at the last turn. Like, that was cinema the entire time. But the schedule, I don't know. I don't really know when these events are. No
clue. I just wait until I see the stuff on social media, and then I go, oh, okay.
Usually I'll see like a semifinal / trial run, and then I'll be like, oh, when is the final? And let me go look at that.
We go to the phones right now on the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line. We have John in Franklin. John, welcome to the show.
Big ski fan, John.
Yeah, this is a first calling in, probably on the Olympics and much less winter, because I'm just peeking my head out of my igloo here in Franklin, because I'm a summertime guy. But hey, just my opinion, I think Lindsey Vonn is a hero. I think she's an American legend. I think the fact that she took the hill with that injury, and don't think in her mind, she wasn't thinking in the back of her mind that this could be the worst case scenario, something like this, because she doesn't have the full control that she would normally have of, you know, everything with whatever was going on with her knee. I understand a little bit about the, you know, saying that you're taking up a spot, but I got so much respect and love for this lady. I couldn't even quantify it. She's a hero, and I hope she heals up okay.
Thanks for the call, John. I appreciate it. I'm 100% with him. That's what I'm saying. Like, first of all, like if you have a conversation with an Olympic athlete or even someone that like doesn't make the Olympic team, the amount of dedication to their craft to get to that point and then to have that happen and still go out there and compete, knowing, like John said, worst case scenario is probably this, but I don't care. Like you're completely throwing caution to the wind.
It's
putting your body on the line.
It's going down on the
hoping
mat.
for the best.
Right? It's going down on the mat. And I think of it from a boxing standpoint where it's I'd rather get knocked out than lose in any other fashion, right? Like let's just go out there swinging. Or if you want to talk about it, I mean, we're sitting here like Giannis won't play because of a calf strain, and meanwhile she's like, I'll go 80 miles an hour down a hill with a torn ACL. Like,
right.
I get it. I get that part of it where that is the mindset that everyone wants to have their favorite athletes have. Kobe Bryant having it, and insert any other names of any famous athletes that have that mentality. But I don't know. I hate to see that she makes it down 2 turns and then her leg explodes.
Yeah, it sucked. It was tragic to watch, but I don't blame her for doing it. And even more now knowing that it wouldn't have been another American that takes her place. So sorry to see that happen. Happy for Breezy Johnson, by the way, who wins the gold. You brought up Giannis and the calf strain. There's a ton of things to talk about with Giannis, the Bucks. What is happening with the Bucks? This are we tanking? Are we not tanking? Are we're signing free agents? I'm so confused at what to do right now. I need someone to tell me what to do as a Bucks fan. Lucky for us, Ty Windish from the Eurostep podcast is going to join us next and give us just those answers. This is Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. I'm Josh Albrecht. Trevor out, Tommy Wirtz in. We are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back to Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Trevor out, Josh Albrecht here. Tommy Wirtz is in. And Tommy, you got some breaking news for us
in
here.
the break there, trade news. The Boston Red Sox are acquiring third baseman Caleb Durbin in a trade with the Milwaukee Brewers for left-hander Kyle Harrison heading back to Milwaukee. Infielder David Hamilton and lefty Shane Drohan are two other players going to Milwaukee alongside with Kyle Harrison in the Caleb Durbin trade.
Whoa. Oh, man. What? Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that at all. Okay, I need time to process that. Now I have even more questions. Okay, we gotta answer the Bucks questions first, and then we can get to these. We bring on Ty Windish, Eurostep Podcast. Ty, sorry, we got Brewers breaking news, right?
No, I saw it too.
About some Bucks news. All right, we're gonna do this one thing at a time. We're gonna get to that in a minute, but first, I gotta get this Bucks stuff out of my head before I can even start processing this Caleb Durbin trade that just happened this morning. Absolutely, what I thought would happen after the Super Bowl when they say football's done, it's baseball season. Apparently, Matt Arnold was thinking the same thing. All right, Ty. Before we get to all this, Bucks basketball. First of all, why does it seem like whenever I can focus on football, the Bucks and Giannis go, no, you can't, and throw some type of news out there? It's like the timing of this is crazy. But let's start with Cam Thomas. Free agent, ends up with the Bucks. What is this? What does this mean for the team going forward?
Yeah, it could be not much. It's a funny move because depending on your perspective on both the Bucks outlook this year and on Cam Thomas the player, this could confirm or conflict with almost any approach you want to have on the team. If you think they're tanking, you could look at this and go, wow, Cam Thomas, a guy who scores a lot and loses a lot of basketball games, that's pro tank. If you think they want to dig out of this hole to some extent, and clearly they weren't big buyers at the deadline, right? But, Giannis comes back eventually. I think they'd like to if they could. You go, oh, they have big trouble scoring the ball sometimes, especially if one of their 2-point guards is out, which has been a lot of this season, especially Kevin Porter Jr. this year. Here's a guy who's averaged 24 a game for like 3 straight years. That will help them. I'm not sure if it's going to help or hurt them. I do think Porter Jr. and now Cam Thomas, I don't know how much oxygen will be left offensively for anyone else. We'll see how Doc Rivers decides to use this player. Does he start? Does he play a lot? Does he not? But I do think at the end of the day, it's a 24-year-old with a clear NBA level skill, probably plus skill in just scoring. It's mid-rangers. It's at the basket. He's got a great floater. He'll have the best floater on the team right away. And it is a good flyer in a season that may or may not be lost to see what can he do. Will a change of scenery be good? Will he continue passing the ball? He's been over 3 assists. He's not a point guard, but he's, listen, he dribbles and shoots a lot, but he's an interesting young player.
We're talking to Ty Windish on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Ty, so are we tanking? Like, is that still what we're trying to do? Because it seems like, the Bucks string a few together. They get their first 3-game winning streak. Giannis says, I'm not leaving. Everyone erupts. Now they're signing free agents, and it's not even long-term. I'm so confused on what I'm supposed to be cheering for or against for this Bucks team. What is the goal here?
I don't know if they fully know. I mean, I'll tell you this. They're not outwardly tanking because we see teams across the league right now. Utah has been one of the worst offenders. If you're tanking and you're in a close game in the fourth quarter, you're pulling your starters. That's what teams are doing. It's been very shameless. Utah just got Jaren Jackson Jr. He and Lauri Markkanen had an amazing game, and then they had an amazing time for the last 12 minutes sitting next to each other on the bench and watching Utah lose that game. The Bucks have not done any of that, right? We're not seeing, I don't think, mysterious shutdowns. We've seen some player injuries, but I just think they've picked up some injuries lately around the deadline. So I don't think they're trying to lose at this point. I just think they've been good at losing when Giannis is out. I think these next 2 games will give us, and maybe the organization, a clearer picture. Because to your point, they beat up on 3 really bad teams last week. And if they needed to win, you have to win games if you want to compete. But they were bad teams. Orlando's a better bad team. The vibes there are really bad. They've had injuries. But, above 500 playoff team. So let's see. They play them Monday and Wednesday in Orlando. And if we go right back to, oh, we're getting drubbed again, maybe that will inform how they go. If they pull out a couple of wins, you do look at this thing and it's like they are still pretty close to the play-in because the middle and bottom of the East is so bad that they might be in range after all this tank talk. So I don't know if they've picked a direction yet. I don't think they necessarily want to bottom out with Giannis still hopefully coming back sometime this or next month, but they might end up there. I think we'll just kind of see. It's not totally up to you if you win the games or not, right? Sometimes you just get beat.
Yeah, so Ty, you brought it up there at the end with hopefully seeing Giannis returning in a month or so here. Is that going to be tank dependent then also on some of these results? Like if Giannis comes back in a month and they don't win a game since then, is he going to come back in a month? Is he going to be, all in on trying to make this play in for this season in your mind? Or it feels like the Bucks have to just try to appease everything until October 1st right now. And they're trying to get their way to get Giannis to stay in Milwaukee. And can they convince him like, yo, dude, if you want to win a championship, we should probably suck this year?
Yeah, I think that's probably an ongoing conversation right now. But I do think I think that he probably plays to some extent, no matter where they are. Because I just think that's who Giannis is. What I would imagine is the amount that he plays and maybe when he first gets back, that probably depends on where we are. Because I believe the last report on this from Eric Name of The Athletic was like, he wants to come back to help with a playoff push. To your point, if there is no playoff push, if they do lose, run off a 1-9 streak here. And it's like, okay, we just don't have time. And the schedule, I think, gets a little harder. They actually have a really easy home heavy stretch coming up where the only road game after this little road trip after All-Star is at Chicago. So, barely a road trip for them. Right. So I think that stretch will probably indicate Giannis will probably be getting back around the end of that. The All-Star break does help with the time aspect of it. But I think we'll see him again this year. I just think it'll maybe be, all right, we're going to play you 25 minutes once a week, get your legs back and probably some home games, right? Try to help our attendance a little bit, which may be a consideration too. But I don't think he's going to grind out 35 minutes a night if they're 10 games away from the 10th seed. No.
Ty, isn't this like worst case scenario though? If they sneak into the playoffs as a play-in team and then don't have a top 5 draft pick because of it, and they're like middle of the pack with their first round pick when this is like when they're not flushed with first round picks, isn't this like kind of the we need to tank at this point? If there was ever a year or time to do it, you're not going to make a legit run. You don't have the pieces to truly make a push for an NBA Finals. And now you have the opportunity to get a really good player in a stacked draft to either convince Giannis to stay, or if Giannis isn't going to sign that Supermax, potentially start the rebuild around, right? That was my thought process.
The time. Yeah, this would be the time to do it. And this is going to be their last time to do it. They don't own their pick next year, and it's convoluted swaps the 2 or 3 drafts after that. So I think it makes the most sense long term to do that. I will say, to me, it's not the worst case if they actually figure something out as a team. Right? Like players develop or they kind of mesh more and they're really winning in a healthy way. And they go and, maybe they push Detroit a little bit. This is, a team that has been the Bucks' little brother for so long. And as good as they've been in the regular season, nobody really trusts them in the playoffs with their lack of shooting. They acquired a shooter who's at like low 30% this year and Herter as their big deadline acquisition. So, I don't think it's worst case if they go and have a legit, competitive playoff series. I think, to the point of keeping Giannis, he would probably enjoy that more than sitting and rooting for the lottery balls in May. But I do think it probably behooves them most to get through this and, stealth tank maybe a bit away through these games and end up with, as long as you're top 10 in odds. We see top 10 teams jump to top 4 all the time in this new system. So as long as you're top 10, I think you feel pretty good about, even if you don't jump, it's a top 10 pick. They haven't had one of those since Don Maker. They haven't had a single digit pick since Jabari Parker. It's been a long time, even if they don't, have the best case jump to 2 or 3 or whatever. So I think they should try to lose games, but that's the problem of being an Eastern Conference team is you have to try really hard when you're coming up against Orlando and even like this Orlando team Indiana who really wants to lose now and some of these other teams at the bottom of the East here.
Ty Windish, Eurostep Podcast, joining us here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. Ty, I got one more for you. I just wanted to give you a platform, and I have just one word for you. It's Shams.
Listen. I don't think I think his reporting was more or less accurate, if sensationalized. But I don't think he made anything up, and I think Giannis has confirmed this too. I think probably went a little too far with it, because it does feel like at this point, looking back, is this Giannis trying to just use that leverage to kind of coax more action out of the Bucks? I don't know, yes or no. No, I'm not going to hazard a guess on what Giannis was up to, especially after the announcement after the deadline that he made. But I don't think this is some crazy agenda. I don't think that there's quote unquote fake news here. I do get tired of all the constant reports, but I don't know if that went the way.
Should he at least get a second source? Like, he needs someone else. Like, he's just getting led astray by, like, okay, maybe some of the reporting is true, but like, maybe get one more guy to just back you up before you run with it.
Yeah, Giannis's rogue agent that he talks about can't control. Like, that's the only source right now. And you got to talk to TA. Thanasis said, "We're the camp. You got to talk to us. You got to go on the analysis if you want to find out what's going on with the Antetokounmpos. That's clearly the only option."
Ty Windish joining us on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Thanks so much, Ty, for the time. Hopefully, the next time we have you on the show, we're celebrating the Bucks playing really, really hard and still coming away with a bunch of L's, and the tank is on. At least that's where I'm at. I'm committed to it. I'm so confused by the win streak or celebrating
if you could have Boozer, DeBansar, Peterson, dream prospect, who you picking?
Peterson.
Okay.
I think the other two are intriguing. Peterson, I watch him, just the way he plays, the energy. That guy's going to be a stud for a long time.
Okay. All right. Just curious.
Sounds good to me. Let's get him. I'm all on board. Thanks so much, Ty, for the time. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, fellas.
Ty Windish of the Eurostep Podcast joining us on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Okay. Back to the breaking news.
Yeah, I mean, and the trade is crazy. Actually, more involved here. Andrew Monasterio also going over.
Whoa.
Anthony Siegler also going over, and the Comp B pick, which is the 67th overall pick, all going over for Kyle Harrison, Shane Drohan, and David Hamilton. Of course, Caleb Durbin, the headliner in the trade.
Okay, so when you first announced it and it was just Caleb Durbin, I was like, that sucks, but it's Caleb Durbin for like a bunch of guys. All right, so it was like a trade that Matt Arnold could not refuse. Now it's like a 3-for-3 swap, it seems.
Harrison is a lefty, and he's a young lefty. They need a lefty in the rotation. He's going to start. He's going to start games. I promise you, he will be at the back end of that rotation. Now I'm really curious, Josh, like Cooper Pratt or Andrew Fisher is going to make this big league club. They need him. They need him to at this point.
I mean, is Jet
maybe Jet Williams, like one of those guys? Yeah, there is the prospects. Like, someone's got to come up. They just got rid of all their infield depth.
This is wild. This is absolutely wild. I don't understand the move at all. I mean, Caleb Durbin had a great year considering
solid,
and was becoming a fan favorite. I thought, there were a lot of jokes made. We were talking about all the jokes that Pat Murphy was making about Caleb Durbin, calling him on his little tour across the state, FaceTiming
happy
him, and now gone.
Now he's sad.
And I understand that's how baseball goes, but this is just another example of me as a Brewers fan not knowing the names. There hasn't been a big hit, a big swing for the Brewers for a player where I go, no way did the Brewers just get that guy. It's been, let's trade pieces for other pieces that then overperform the expectations I have, not knowing who the heck these guys are. The big question to your point, though, is what the heck happens at third base? I cannot wait to hear what everybody thinks about this, and you're going to want to keep it right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network for the rest of the day, because this is now, after the Super Bowl, the biggest news. The biggest news. Bucks are like, hey, but we got Cam Thomas. Brewers are like, hold our beer. Caleb Durbin's out of here, and we just got a bunch of people. And Andrew Monasterio. Oh, man. This is nuts. We're gonna have Rami Maklov. Who else would you want to bring in to talk about this Brewers trade? get his opinion on this as well, and yours. They're coming in. Let us know your thoughts on this trade. Caleb Durbin traded to the Boston Red Sox this morning. Breaking news here on Inside Wisconsin Sports. We want to know your thoughts as well on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250. Let us know. You happy? You surprised? I'm sure surprised. And what happens now at third base for the Milwaukee Brewers? We'll talk about it with Rami Maklov when we come back on Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. I'm Josh Albrecht. Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor this morning. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You're right. I don't understand. Welcome back to Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Trevor out, Josh Albrecht here. Tommy Wirtz in for Trevor, and we welcome on Rami Maklov from 9 to noon.
Morning, boys.
Usually, Rami, good morning. Usually this would be the part of the show where I would say, hey, Rami, what'd you do for the Super Bowl, bud? And get all that stuff. Caleb Durbin is gone. And so
he is. Yes,
welcome to the conversation. Caleb Durbin, breaking news, traded this morning to the Boston Red Sox. We're trying to figure out what this is, more developing as we go on. Tommy, can you fill us in here on what this trade has all ended up being and the news you saw during the break from Kurt Hogue?
Yeah. So to remind everyone, or in case no one heard, Caleb Durbin, Andrew Monasterio, Anthony Siegler, and the 2026 Comp B pick, the 67th overall pick, traded to the Boston Red Sox in exchange for left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, left-handed pitcher Shane Drohan, and infielder David Hamilton of the Boston Red Sox. This coming from Kurt Hogue in the break, just right there. The depth in the infield of non-first baseman right now is David Hamilton, Joey Ortiz, Bryce Terang, and Jet Williams. Jet Williams has never played third base, and Joey Ortiz obviously started there. Bryce Terang could, I guess, but they don't want to do that.
No.
A move is likely coming. That being the last line.
So another infielder is probably going to be added.
Well,
somehow,
I mean,
some way is what he's hinting.
Gosh, like,
You're gonna add another piece?
Sparky's going to be so mad they didn't get Eugenio Suarez now after all of this. Like, that's going to be.
I think
makes more sense now.
I think it's interesting with all these young guns. I think it's just proof that they're going to bring some of these guys up. I don't think it's I don't know enough about the other players to give you a true opinion on how I feel about the trade. I do like what a lot of you guys have been saying on the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and text line, though, bringing up that it's a great time to trade Durbin if you want to sell high on Caleb Durbin. And if you think that you have a plan, if I trust Matt Arnold and this Brewers organization. And so if they're seeing something from Fisher, Pratt, or Jet, or someone else, and they have a plan, I trust their plan. I trust that it's going to be the case.
I trust the plan. I trust Matt Arnold in terms of the long-term success and health of this Brewers team, and that their formula works for a sustainable success and being in the hunt for a playoff spot year in and year out. That's you can't doubt that at this point. You know what I mean? They've done it enough that you can't really doubt that at this point. What I question is, do you have a win now plan? Because the window is wide. I think this Brewers team coming out of last year was so good that your World Series window was wide open. You know what I mean? And are you doing everything you can to capitalize on that, or are you still worrying about 5 years from now?
I think they're trusting the process.
That's the question that I have, because championship opportunities, championship windows are precious, are sacred, and I don't believe in squandering them when you have them.
Right.
But we talked to Tim Allen on this show right after the Freddie Peralta trade happened, and Tim was not happy. Tim was very much like, this is them continuing to do what the Brewers have done and not pushing the chips all in and looking at an opportunity to truly win a World Series. I think that this is just another feather in that cap of the Brewers doing what the Brewers do. I don't think necessarily that this move hurts the Brewers for this coming season as much as like the Freddie Peralta trade did.
But we don't know who's playing third base now.
I understand, but did we know going into last season what last season was going to look like?
No,
not at all.
No, you didn't.
And they won the most games they ever have in a regular season. So I'm going to trust the process. And as I said, this move did not seem to carry as much weight to me as them trading Freddie Peralta. So I'm going to sit here and go, they're going to figure out who's going to play third. Maybe they move Joey Ortiz over there. I don't know. They're either going to sign someone else or they'll bring one of these young guns up and we'll see what happens.
I mean, does it not at all? Do you guys not remember like how terrible that Dodger series was? Right. mean, Caleb Durbin did have 4 hits in that series. Like
he was one of the few guys.
He was like
bat
the
to ball,
only guy that could put the ball in play. Now it didn't matter, and
Right, it didn't matter.
Didn't send anything over the wall, and maybe they're trying to add some pop. And a lot of signs pointing to Jet Williams has more pop than Caleb Durbin, even though he is the similar size to him. I just think it was really weird with. I mean, Caleb Durbin has to be shocked this morning, right? I mean, there's no way. Like, he's been going around the state doing all these different events and hopping on all these radio shows.
Just on with you guys.
Yes, he was
like
just
a month
on,
ago,
like,
right?
a month ago. Like, I mean, he was the first guest on Hot Stove Weekly, and now all of a sudden he's going out to Boston. So, I think that it just came across as a shocking move with how much they were acclimating him to Milwaukee and to Wisconsin, and now. See ya. Thanks for Kyle Harrison. Now, the Kyle Harrison move, the team needed a lefty starter. They did not have a lefty starter. Angel Serpa was thought to be maybe a chance at that. Harrison had 30 starts in the bigs last year. Like, he's going to start in this rotation.
I would, to use a boxing analogy, I know the Brewers got a jab. You know what I mean? I know they got a jab, and that'll keep them in the fight. That'll keep their opponent at arm's length. You know what I mean? Do they have a knockout blow? Do they have a big hook? Do they have a big uppercut?
No.
Do they have a knockout blow to where they go for the they go for the win now? They try to end the thing now. You know what I mean?
Keeping Caleb Durbin wasn't that.
I know. I'm talking about the big picture plan of trading Freddie Peralta, of trading Caleb Durbin, of adding guys that are going to help you in the future and sustaining the success and staying in contention to win a division and make the playoffs.
I think they do.
Do you have a
Rami.
big swing in you?
I do. I think their big swing is now a little dependent on hoping and praying, but you got Churio going to come back fully healthy, right? Hopefully. And you have Bryce Terang with his progression of being a ball player right now. William Contreras coming back at fully healthy, hopefully again. Like, those 3 bats being added with health, I think is just as valuable to this team to show they are not going to be, they're not, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type thing. Now, I know they got manhandled by the Dodgers, but again, if they can get 15 more homers out of those 3 guys because of health, like, that's like adding a third baseman that the Brewers would love to have on their team who is 5'7" anyway.
Yeah, you're also assuming that Yelich is going to have the season like he had last year.
Oh, okay.
As well.
And that he can stay healthy.
I'm just saying this is why I don't love the
Joey
well,
Ortiz was
healthy
so
argument.
bad last year. Joey Ortiz was terrible. He was the worst
Not
hitter.
denying that.
He was the worst hitter in Major League Baseball. He had the lowest qualified OPS. If he's second worst, he got better. Like, again, like they are just banking on.
Yeah, but that's a different argument than from what Rami's
the knockout
saying.
punch you are looking for is an acquisition. The knockout punch the Brewers are looking for is a retool more than a rebuild. Like, they have the guys. They had the guys. They won 97 games last year.
That's what I'm saying.
With a bunch of dudes who no one ever heard of before this year. Now they're just retooling it a little bit. Like, Isaac Collins was cool, and then he had a kid, and he kind of lost his fastball. So just be careful, Rami, in case you ever think of that. But, like,
True.
I'm just saying, like, they had the right pieces to win 97 games, and now they're going out and getting them a couple more lefties that have a little more leverage in them, a little more length in them. They got David Hamilton can play a little bit around the infield there, and they have an awesome farm that also might be promoting Jet Williams up. Sleeper on Cooper Pratt to see what happens if he does in spring ball. Like, I don't know. I think it's fine.
We've had
who
Jeff
wanted
Levering on,
Anthony Siegler on this team
Lane
next
Grindle
year? Come
on, and I've been saying I said to both of them, are we seeing any of these young guns like coming up this season? And both of them said, we'll see. Probably not. I'm going, yeah, I think the Brewers are saying, absolutely. You're going to see more than one. Well, they're going to give these guys a chance.
Just my initial thought is Ortiz moves to third and Jed Williams is your shortstop.
That's exactly where I'm at too. We'll see. I'm assuming you're going to probably talk about this a little bit more on 9 to Noon. Huh,
yeah, and there was some game yesterday or something.
Yeah, that's whatever.
And there's something happening in Italy right now. Something happening in Italy.
No
right
clue.
now? Like Milan or something.
Oh, what's happening?
I don't know. Not anything I watch.
Okay. Cannot wait for a jam-packed 9 to Noon. Mostly
so jam-packed.
Mostly talking about the fact that Caleb Durbin no longer a Milwaukee Brewer. We will continue that conversation.
Super Bowl and all that.
Yeah, there'll be Super Bowl Olympics as well. Cannot wait to continue that conversation tomorrow. Trevor will be back. Thank you so much, Tommy, for being here. Appreciate you filling in.
Oh, yeah.
This has been Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. I'm Josh Albrecht. Trevor back tomorrow, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Be with us tomorrow because we are not done yet.